Embrace willingness. Have you ever found yourself overwhelmed with anger or frustration over something as simple as a daily task or an unexpected inconvenience? That feeling of resistance, that inner pushback against what life throws at you is often the root of our emotional turmoil. One of the core principles of Stoicism that helps restore inner peace is the idea of embracing life willingly. Embracing willingness does not mean you must enjoy every challenge or agree with every situation. Instead, it means facing what comes your way without resistance. It means choosing to approach each moment, even the difficult ones, with acceptance and presence. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." This mindset frees us from the trap of constant frustration. Take something as mundane as washing the dishes. If you do it while resenting the task, every plate becomes a battle. But if you shift your perspective and willingly engage in the task with gratitude, even a chore becomes peaceful. Epictetus advised, do not seek to have events happen as you want them to, but instead want them to happen as they do, and your life will go well. That is the essence of willingness, flowing with life rather than resisting it. Even in uncomfortable moments like sitting in traffic, your attitude makes all the difference. You can stew in frustration, or you can use the time to listen to a podcast, reflect on your day, or simply breathe. When you approach life with willingness, stress loses its grip. Another important part of willingness is aligning your actions with a deeper vision. Many people chase goals like money, titles, or validation. But Stoicism teaches us to pursue something greater: character, virtue, and purpose. When you live with a grander vision, even small or unpleasant actions feel voluntary because you understand how they fit into the larger journey. Think about the difference between doing something because you have to versus choosing to do it. I have to meet this deadline feels heavy and stressful. But I choose to meet this deadline because it supports my goals feels empowering. Your sense of control shifts completely when you take responsibility for your attitude. When someone insults you, you can choose to take it personally and react with anger. Or you can see it as a chance to practice calmness and self-discipline. You can remind yourself, this person is acting according to their nature, but I do not have to let it disturb mine. Embracing willingness is not a quick fix. It is a mindset you build over time. Start by accepting small inconveniences. Reframe challenges as opportunities to grow. And choose to meet life not with resistance, but with open hands and a calm heart. I'm Bashadi Namchand. In doing so, you begin to master your emotions and protect your peace. Stop judging others. Have you ever caught yourself feeling irritated, angry, or frustrated because of someone else's behavior? It might be a coworker who talks too much, a neighbor who complains, or a stranger who cuts you off in traffic. Often these emotions don't arise from the actions themselves, but from the judgments we attach to them. Stoicism teaches that letting go of judgment is one of the most effective ways to free yourself from negative emotions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion." There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. In other words, the problem is not the event itself, but the story we tell ourselves about it. Think about how quickly we jump to conclusions. When someone drives slowly in front of us, we label them as stupid or inconsiderate. But what if that person is a new driver? Or what if they are being cautious because they have a child in the car? These possibilities reveal how often our assumptions are incomplete. Judging others burdens us emotionally. It adds mental weight to already stressful situations. Suppose you have a coworker who is consistently late to meetings. If you immediately think they are lazy or disrespectful, your resentment grows over time. But what if they are caring for an ill family member or managing personal struggles you don't know about? Dropping the judgment allows you to respond with understanding rather than frustration. This does not mean you must approve of bad behavior or ignore problems. It means choosing not to let those behaviors control your emotional state. You can address issues calmly without fueling your inner turmoil. Stoicism encourages us to separate people's actions from their worth as individuals. No one is entirely good or bad. We all have flaws and we all have moments of weakness. When you remember this, you naturally become more compassionate. Consider your own worst day. Maybe you were tired, stressed, or overwhelmed and acted in a way that wasn't your best. Others go through the same. Imagine being in a restaurant when a server accidentally spills water on your table. Your first reaction might be to get annoyed. But what if they are working a double shift or just received bad news? When you give others the benefit of the doubt, you free yourself from unnecessary anger. To practice non-judgment, start with awareness. Catch yourself when you're labeling someone. Ask, is this thought helpful? Is it fair? Then shift your perspective. Try to understand what the other person might be experiencing. Remember, judging someone does not change them. It only steals your peace. Letting go of judgment is not about ignoring reality. It is about choosing peace over unnecessary suffering. The more you release judgment, the more space you create for understanding, patience, and emotional freedom. Let go of control. Have you ever felt overwhelmed or frustrated because someone didn't behave the way you expected? Maybe a driver cut you off, a friend didn't return a message, or a coworker missed a deadline. These moments are often less about the actual event and more about our desire to control outcomes. The truth is, much of our emotional distress comes from trying to control things that are beyond our reach. Stoicism offers a simple yet powerful perspective. Peace comes not from controlling everything, but from letting go of the need to do so. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Instead of wasting energy on what you cannot change, focus on what you can, your thoughts, your reactions, and your choices. Picture yourself stuck in traffic during rush hour. Horns are blaring, time is slipping away, and tension is building. You might think, why is this happening? Why can't people drive better? But those thoughts only make you more stressed. You cannot control traffic. What you can control is your mindset. You can use that time to breathe deeply, listen to music, or reflect. The situation doesn't change, but your experience of it does. Letting go of control isn't about giving up. It's about accepting reality and choosing your response. A mother may want her child to get straight A's, but she cannot take their exams. An employee may wish their boss made better decisions, but they can't control that behavior. In these moments, emotional suffering often comes from resisting reality instead of adapting to it. I remember a young entrepreneur who spent years building a startup. When his product failed to meet expectations, he blamed the market, customers, and even his competitors. That mindset kept him stuck. When he finally accepted what was out of his hands and focused on refining what he could control, everything changed. His creativity returned, his strategy improved, and success followed. One of the most practical Stoic tools for this is premeditatio malorum, the practice of mentally preparing for challenges before they happen. By imagining what might go wrong each day, like delays, setbacks, or criticism, you can respond calmly if they occur. Preparation gives you power. Letting go of control doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop suffering over what you can't change. Ask yourself regularly, is this within my control? If the answer is no, release it. If yes, act with purpose. Imagine life as a river. You cannot stop its flow, but you can steer your boat. When you stop fighting the current and learn to navigate it with grace, you will discover a freedom that no external condition can take away. That is the heart of Stoic peace, finding power, not in domination, but in acceptance. Embrace imperfection. It is easy to feel frustrated, disappointed, or even angry when people around us don't meet our expectations. Maybe a coworker misses a deadline, a friend forgets an important date, or a family member says something hurtful. These moments stir up strong emotions, but the deeper question is this: why do we expect perfection from others in the first place? Stoicism teaches us that the demand for perfection is not only unrealistic, but also a major source of suffering. The world is not flawless. People make mistakes. Life is full of unpredictability. When we stop expecting perfection and start embracing reality as it is, we begin to free ourselves from unnecessary emotional burdens. Epictetus once said, "It is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them." That quote holds immense power. The world doesn't need to change to make us feel better. What needs to change is how we interpret what happens. Take, for example, a situation at work. You've spent hours preparing a presentation. At the last moment, a teammate forgets an important detail, and the delivery falters. Your first reaction might be anger. How could they be so careless? But if you look at the situation through a Stoic lens, you'll realize that the mistake is already done and beyond your control. Fuming over it changes nothing. Asking instead, what can I do right now to move forward, puts you back in control. Marcus Aurelius offered wise advice. Begin each day by telling yourself, today, I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. He wasn't being negative. He was being prepared. Knowing that imperfection is inevitable allows you to greet it with grace, not shock or outrage. In everyday life, this mindset can transform your relationships. If a loved one forgets something important or reacts poorly, remember that they are human just like you. They may be carrying unseen stress or pain. Instead of reacting with blame, ask yourself, have I ever made a mistake? Was I not hoping for understanding when I did? When you extend that understanding to others, your peace grows. Embracing imperfection also applies to communication. We often expect people to know exactly how we feel or what we need, but no one can read minds. Instead of resenting them, try expressing your thoughts more clearly. That small shift in effort can turn confusion into connection. This mindset does not mean you stop striving for improvement. On the contrary, it empowers you to focus on what you can actually influence. You let go of the fantasy that others will always act the way you want, and you begin to respond to life with strength instead of frustration. In the end, the world doesn't need to be perfect for you to find peace. When you accept life's flaws and your own, you unlock the freedom to live more lightly, more kindly, and with far more clarity. Imperfection embraced wisely becomes your teacher, not your enemy. Take responsibility for your feelings. Life is full of situations we cannot control. People may disappoint us, plans may fall apart, and circumstances may challenge us in ways we never expected. But amid all of this, there is one thing we always have power over: our emotional response. Taking responsibility for your feelings is a core principle of Stoicism. It means recognizing that while you cannot control other people's behavior or the events around you, you can always control how you react. This idea may seem simple, but it is one of the most transformative truths you can live by. Imagine standing in a long supermarket line on a busy weekend. Suddenly, someone cuts in front of you without so much as an apology. Instantly, frustration builds. You feel disrespected. You might even carry that anger with you for the rest of the day. But here's the key question. Must that person's behavior dictate your mood, or can you choose a different response? You could pause and remind yourself, this person's actions don't deserve control over my peace. Maybe they are having a difficult day. Maybe they acted without thinking. Either way, your emotional well-being does not have to depend on their actions. You can decide to let it go. Marcus Aurelius the Stoic, Roman emperor, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." These words point to a vital insight: your emotions are your responsibility, not the world's. In daily life, it is easy to fall into the habit of blaming others for how we feel. Someone criticizes us and we feel offended. A friend forgets to text back and we feel neglected. But what if we stopped giving others that kind of power? What if we reclaimed our emotional sovereignty? One way to start is by building the habit of pausing before reacting. When something upsets you, take a breath and ask, is this worth disturbing my peace? That moment of reflection creates space between the trigger and your response, allowing you to choose a calm, composed path instead of a reactive one. Journaling is another powerful Stoic practice. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to reflect. What triggered me today? How did I respond? Could I have chosen better? Over time, this simple habit strengthens your emotional awareness and helps you respond with more clarity and intention. Taking responsibility for your emotions does not mean suppressing how you feel. It means understanding that your feelings are yours to manage. You are not at the mercy of someone else's words, moods, or mistakes. You are the gatekeeper of your inner peace. By shifting from blame to ownership, you become stronger, calmer, and more grounded. Emotional maturity begins the moment you stop expecting others to fix your mood and start choosing how you feel moment by moment, thought by thought. That is true freedom. Practice non-reaction. Life has a way of testing our patience. A colleague criticizes us in front of others. A stranger jumps ahead in line. A friend makes a sharp remark that cuts deep. These moments, while often small, can trigger intense emotional responses. But Stoicism teaches us that it is not the event itself that disturbs us, it is our reaction to it. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." These words carry profound truth. The real power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering ourselves. Imagine being publicly criticized during a meeting. Your instinct might be to defend yourself, correct the person, or even snap back. But what if you chose not to react immediately? What if you paused and allowed the storm to pass without getting pulled into it? Responding with composure instead of emotion changes everything. You might say calmly, "Thank you for the feedback. I'll address it after the presentation." That one sentence delivered without anger not only preserves your dignity, but also disarms any hostility in the room. You remain in control not just of the situation, but of your own emotional state. Seneca, another great Stoic, advised the greatest remedy for anger is delay. This simple practice, pausing before responding, gives you space to think. When you delay your reaction even for a few minutes, you give yourself the opportunity to respond with intention instead of impulse. Let's say you receive a critical email. Rather than firing off a defensive reply, wait. Take an hour or even a full day to reflect. When you return to the message with a clear mind, your response will be more thoughtful and effective. This is not weakness, it is strength. It is the power of non-reaction. There is also great power in silence. Sometimes saying nothing is the best response. It protects your peace, maintains your self-control, and denies others the power to provoke you. As the saying goes, if a donkey kicks you and you kick back, you are both donkeys. Reacting out of anger only drags you down. In moments of tension, ask yourself, will this matter tomorrow? Will I regret how I handled it? Most of the time, reacting impulsively only leads to more regret. But when you choose calm over chaos, you leave situations with your head held high and your peace intact. Practicing non-reaction is not about being passive. It is about being selective. You decide what deserves your energy and what does not. You choose how to respond, when to speak, and when to walk away. Each time you choose silence over shouting, patience over panic, and stillness over storms, you become stronger. And in that strength, you find freedom. That is the essence of Stoicism: calm in the midst of chaos, power through restraint, and peace through self-mastery. Find joy in selflessness and forgiveness. As you learn to remain calm, detach from immediate reactions, and take full responsibility for your emotions, something beautiful begins to happen. Your heart becomes lighter. The same things that once irritated or angered you lose their power. And in that open space, something deeper takes root: compassion. Forgiveness and selflessness are not just moral ideals. In Stoicism, they are powerful tools for preserving your peace and discovering true joy. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." This simple reminder shifts your focus from resentment to appreciation. It reminds you that life is not just about protecting your pride, but about giving and understanding. Forgiveness does not mean excusing bad behavior. It means refusing to let someone else's actions control your emotional state. It means choosing your peace over your anger. When someone insults or disappoints you, your natural instinct may be to hold a grudge. But that grudge weighs you down far more than it affects the other person. Think of a time when you helped someone expecting nothing in return. How did that feel? Likely peaceful, warm, and meaningful. That is the hidden power of selflessness. It nourishes your soul. It frees you from the emotional trap of keeping score. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Forgiveness is one of the highest expressions of that mastery. I recall a friend who worked in a high-stress environment where he was often criticized unfairly. Rather than reacting with bitterness, he paused and asked himself, what might they be going through that I don't see? In time, he learned that one of his harshest critics was struggling financially and emotionally. Instead of lashing out, he offered support where he could. That simple shift changed their dynamic completely. The workplace became more cooperative and his own stress levels dropped. In family life, these principles are just as powerful. Maybe a relative constantly criticizes you. Instead of letting their words provoke you, try viewing their behavior through a different lens. Often hurtful words come from someone's own unresolved pain. By choosing to understand instead of attack, you protect your inner peace and sometimes even heal the relationship. Letting go of resentment allows you to live more freely. The world becomes less threatening and more open. You stop expecting others to be perfect, and in turn, you free yourself from disappointment. Seneca wisely said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." Every day, life gives you the chance to extend compassion, not just to others, but also to yourself. When you live from a place of understanding, you not only avoid anger, you rise above it. You transform it. And in doing so, you find something far more lasting than pride, peace, joy, and emotional freedom. That is the power of selflessness. Based on the Stoic lessons shared above, one of the most transformative pieces of advice you can apply to your life right now is to take full ownership of your inner world. In a chaotic, unpredictable world filled with daily frustrations, misunderstandings, and emotional triggers, your greatest power lies in your response. You cannot control how others behave, what they say, or the circumstances you face, but you can always choose how you react. That choice begins with awareness. When you feel anger rising or judgment forming, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth disturbing my peace? Often the answer will be no. Choose calm over conflict, reflection over reaction. If someone offends you, resist the urge to retaliate. Instead, view it as an opportunity to practice emotional discipline. Let go of the need to correct everyone or prove a point. Embrace the imperfection in people and situations. When you stop expecting perfection, you make room for compassion. Start small. Let the driver who cut you off go without a reaction. Smile at someone who seems rude. Journal your emotional patterns in the evening. Over time, these small shifts build incredible resilience. Forgive others not because they always deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Practice selflessness, not for praise, but for the quiet joy it brings. Reframe negative situations as chances to grow in patience and strength. Understand that those who criticize or mistreat you may be projecting their own pain. View each day as a new opportunity to rise above the noise, to choose understanding over offense and wisdom over impulse. Stoicism is not about suppressing feelings, but mastering them. It teaches you to live with intention, to accept what is, and to act with purpose. When you practice these principles consistently, you develop a kind of emotional armor, not to shut the world out, but to move through it with clarity and grace. Make peace your highest goal. In every challenge, ask, how can I respond in a way that protects my spirit? When you live by that question, your life becomes more than just reactive moments. It becomes a steady, grounded path of self-mastery, compassion, and quiet strength. That is the essence of Stoic living, and it is available to you now.